Hello and welcome to the channel. In this video you join me in tying the Hotspot Quill Nymph. So this is a fairly natural looking nymph pattern that can be used kind of year round, both for trout and obviously grayling. You can kind of chop and change this around a little bit with the various colours, but this is the way that I tie it, how I'm going to show you today. It's a great pattern to use both as point flies and droppers as part of a Euro nymph setup, and you can also use it as a single fly as the nymph on a dry dropper rig, something like a Klink and dink, or like I say, the dry dropper. So material wise, as usual, I'll go through them as I'm tying the fly, and I'll also leave a list of materials in the description. So we'll kind of jump to it. So to begin with, in the vise, I've got myself a fully milled jig force in black nickel, size 16. 16s, 18s and 20s are the general size that I will tie this pattern in. Bead is a copper slotted tungsten bead, and my tying thread is just some black 8/0 from Textreme. So to begin with, I will just secure the bead in place with just a few thread wraps. Just build a little bit of a thread damming just to make sure that's secure and it's not going anywhere. Once I've started to work my way down, I can then obviously come in and trim away that waist. So the tail on this fly, despite it being a hotspot, is actually a few fibres from some natural coq de leon. So I like to add kind of 4 fibres, so I'll select those, and then I want the tail to be roughly the kind of the length of the body. So what I tend to do is I'll offer it up, just take one thread wrap just to secure it, and then that allows me to just kind of manipulate those fibres. So fairly happy with that. And then with my tying thread, I'm going to come back up. With this being a quill body, I want my tying thread to come back up and to be fairly uniform. So I don't want to create too many lumps and bumps. So by that, I want the tying thread to keep fairly level on the way up. I don't want to have too many gaps in it. So I'm going to come back up to the bead before returning back down. And when I come back down, I'm going to stop just a few mil short, and that there, tying thread's a bit spun, is where I will then come in and add my stripped quill. As I say, this is natural. If you wish, you can kind of use olives or brown, something like that. I just like the way the natural comes out. So we'll tie that in facing us, and then once that's secured, I can then bring my tying thread back up. Again, just making sure that body remains fairly smooth, and then I can obviously come in with my hackle pliers and start to create the body on the fly. So Peacock quills, when they're stripped, have a natural tapering to them. Avoid that hook point on the first few turns. So to begin with, our turns are fairly close together, and then as we start to progress up the body of the fly, they'll obviously then start to open up a little bit more. And the good thing about these is that's what then gives you that kind of natural segmented look to your flies. So as I say, as we start to move up, our turns become slightly wider, slightly more open, so we get back up to the bead, and then we can secure that in with my tying thread. So there's one turn, 2 turns, and I'll bring one behind it. Come with my scissors, just make sure my tying thread's out of the way, and just remove that excess from the quill. What I'll do now normally is I'll just put a little turn in it just to secure that thread so it's kind of going nowhere. So what's next to do on the fly is obviously just coat that body with some UV resin. So I like to use the Solarez ultra thin, nice thin resin, and the brush that comes with it I find really useful. So we're just going to coat the body. We're not looking to add too much resin, we literally just want to coat that fly like so. Once we're happy that we've kind of coated the entirety of the body, we haven't got any lumps in it, then we can come in with our UV torch and just give that a quick cure. I've got a little bit there on the hook point which I can remove later on. So that's how our body's looking. The next thing we're going to do is come in with our hotspot. Like I say, our hotspot kind of comes in at the thorax end. So on this pattern, I use Glow Bright number 3. So take a length, come in, and we'll just bring that up onto the top like so. So it's kind of in line with the bead, and we'll just take a turn. If we get our two ends together, like so. We'll just take a turn just to make sure that's all secured, that's going nowhere. What I will then do is I'll cut the length of this down. So I want it to be roughly halfway along the body, like so. Didn't make a very good cut of that, so I'll do that again. It's a good thing about this, you can always start again if you need to. So come in, cut a length of the Glow Bright. Like I say, we'll bring that up, and then we can double it over. So like I say, we've then got the two strands. So just take a turn just to secure that, fold that back over, just a few thread wraps just to secure that in place, and then like I say, we'll come in halfway. There we go, a little bit better, a little bit neater there. Once that's got a few thread wraps in place just to secure it, I'll then come in with my CDC hackle on the fly. So just natural CDC, half of a feather, put that into your clip, and then we can come in and remove the stalk from the fly, the stem. I'm going to come in and obviously split my thread on this. Make sure you kind of get that halfway between the thread, and then I can obviously add in my CDC fibres. Spin my tying thread just to secure those and trap them all into place, and then what I can do is start to bring this on. So I will continue to turn. I'm not going to kind of draw any of the fibres out until I've finished with the hackle. I'll then come in with another full turn before drawing these fibres back and taking another turn just to secure those back. The last thing to do to the fly is obviously just add a little collar to the fly. So for that, I'm using a blend of hare and squirrel with just a little bit of red UV running through it. I just find that it complements that hotspot quite well. So again, we don't want to add too much of this. We want to leave it fairly loosely dubbed to help with the CDC hackle. All I'm going to do is come in and just add a full turn. So there we have our hackle, our collar rather. Come in with a little bit of super glue, just add a little drop of glue to the tying thread, and that'll just help secure everything once I put my whip finish in. So I'll come in with a 3-turn whip. So 2, 3, and obviously trim away my tying thread, like so. And there you have it, the Quill Hotspot Nymph. Obviously with some of these slightly longer fibres on the CDC, I can obviously trim those back a little bit if I wish, but I actually quite like them being fairly long. It fishes quite well. And I can also come in and just tease out a few of these fibres on the hackle. I keep saying the hackle, on the collar rather. Like I say, hopefully that's come back into focus a little bit better for you. Really useful nymph pattern to have that kind of fishes year round. And you can chop and change it. As I say, this is natural with the red. You can quite easily change that to an olive, or obviously if you want to kind of tailor it more for the grayling, then obviously you can tie it with a pink hotspot there. But hopefully you've enjoyed that. Hopefully you'll get a few tied up, and you'll let me know how they get on for you. All the best, and I'll see you again soon.